What you just heard is a spiced up drum loop using the Lexicon PSP 42, and we're going to be looking at how do you get this kind of an effect, and more importantly, what's the workflow so that you get a cool sounding result that you can work with right away, and you don't spend so much time sort of just messing around aimlessly until you come across something cool. So the first thing we're going to do here is there's an infinite repeat button right here, and if you push this, it's going to start repeating whatever it is currently in the loop. So let's bring our feedback up. We'll bring it up quite a bit. And if we hit play, this is just the default setting with raised feedback. It sounds like this. We hit infinite repeat. Right now, we'll go ahead and we'll hit stop there. Right now, the repeat that's going on, it's pretty long. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to bring this down to somewhere in the neighborhood of like 50. And this would be a pretty good starting range for us to work with. We want it shorter, so it's more like a tone. It'll give us a little bit more of a glitchy kind of vibe when we hit this infinite repeat. And also, while we're doing this, for now, we're going to work heavy-handedly, and then we'll dial it back a little bit after. We're going to do this with some automation, but I'm going to bring the output mix all the way over to this feedback side. I find it's just a little bit easier. We might dial it back just a smidge, but having it a little heavy-handed right now is going to be easier to work with. So here's what it sounds like. So we want to record these sorts of glitches in, and then afterwards we can also mess with the variable sample rate. So we can go from half to 1.5 times the current sample rate inside the plugin, and this gives us all kinds of cool pitch-like effects. And so we're going to be messing with this as well. So let's go ahead and first record in this. So I'm going to hit just record and hit play. So right now it's pretty aggressive, but that's totally fine. That's what we want to get going. So we're gonna go ahead and stop this. And this is the event automation that we've just done. So that is perfect, exactly what we want. Now what we're gonna do is let's go ahead and mess with the manual. This is a manual shift because there's an LFO option as well. But I find that if you're gonna wanna get like results that make sense, you're going to want to use the manual option. And while we still have it high, so the mix is still heavily favoring this sort of heavy-handed approach, we're going to automate this. Sometimes you can play it in, and that could be cool too. I'm going to go ahead and automate it this time. So go to Browse Parameters. We'll move it so we can find it and automate this. So here it is right here. Let's go ahead and group these two. If I had linked this correctly, it would actually get the names as well. But this is going to matter when the mix is high. For now, we're going to assume the mix is always high, and then we'll bring the mix in and out rhythmically as it sort of makes sense. And we can see these pulses of when they come in. Now, I like to click them in because it's a little more human, and you'll get loops a little bit differently, especially when you're working with sample loops. Things might be very samey throughout the loop, so the variation in you clicking actually can add stuff. And if you don't like the particular loop you got, just going in and moving it just a smidge can sometimes dramatically change the loop. So let's go ahead and let's just find some spots where some pitch variation would be cool. Maybe at the beginning, we just start right off with something. Oh, and let's go off of the step mode here. And maybe we do something like this. And then maybe we go down, and then I'll go ahead and type in a value 0.5, whatever that is. We'll snap to it. Now this might be like a ton of movement, maybe too much movement. And I'm on 1/4 of a grid right now. So I've split things up into fourths instead of recording to like quarter notes. And then right here, maybe we do something like that there, and then we come back down. And then there's another one here. Maybe we do a rhythmic pulse thing here. You know, why not? Give it a go. I am going a bit quick because just for the sake of demonstrating. This one's kind of a long one, so maybe we have it just slowly bend down a bit. Maybe we have it bend up, and then maybe we do two big sweeping motions. We do a big one up, and then one down, and then here, oops, I switched tools there. And then here we go to 0.5. So this bit, right, I'd be a little more detailed. I'd be listening to it as I go, but now we have this sort of pitch variation movement. Actually pretty cool. Okay, so you get the idea. Lots of crazy stuff going on all over the place. Now we're gonna add the last little bit. So I like to work with these things while this is high. And now we're gonna come in and there's sort of two other considerations I wanna look at. The first one is how hard we wanna push the analog modeling. So there is analog modeling of converters in here as well as limiters and things. And these different processing modes will do those different modeling. If you choose the clean mode, it will actually remove that stuff. And so this will tend to sound quite a bit louder because it takes that limiter off. I'm gonna go with full because it's got that, and we can go ahead and then mess with how hard we want to push these values by adjusting the reference and the sensitivity here. So right now it's going to be slamming these things a little bit harder. And if we bring the reference down, it's also going to slam it a touch more. So we could get some nice sort of distortion out of this as well. For now, I'm going to leave it as is, and I'm going to mess with the output mix. So we'll go ahead, we'll mess with this. And here's where I find pulsing to start tends to be a pretty good move. And I find that things like to be around for maybe like a beat or something. So let's go with this, change our grid to this, and we'll do like quarter note pulses. And I like to create a clip, something like this. Oops, I hit the enter key instead of shift, where we have something like this, and just starting off with it. And then we go ahead and we shorten one side. Maybe we have it do something like this. It's important that we know we go back to 0. That's why the 0 value exists. And we can make pulses of different sizes. Maybe here we take the longer option, like so. And maybe we have it land on a stronger beat here. And instead we do this kind of gated effect. So I'm going to make this one unique. I'm going to bring this one over, and then we'll add another thing here. Maybe we move it up a little ways. No, I like it more here. And maybe a little bit more of a mix move, something like that goes out slowly. This is where you spend time and you begin to refine each move. We're just going to roll with whatever we've picked. Maybe we have this actually turn up. And we'll have it turn up into whatever's coming here. And then we'll have it suddenly snap back down. And on this one as well, I'm making them unique when I click. And then here, I definitely want this little glitch in. That was kind of a cool thing. But maybe not as much. There's various ways you could lower it. I like visually doing it because I can see it, but there's also these max and min values you could use to lower the value. These don't visually show up though. So sometimes I like to use those for other things, but for this, adjusting the points I think is a little more intuitive. And then we'll go ahead and just sort of stick these in. Let's go for the offbeats here as a starting point for something that could be maybe interesting. And then we'll might spice in some of these like shorter blips occasionally. right here, we might have a short one. And then on these, we might limit their value to something lower so that we get the pitch bend, but it's not like completely removed. And maybe on this, we actually leave it alive for quite a bit longer. Something like that. Now here, that's right, that's pretty heavy. So let's take some of that out. In fact, here would be a good spot. Maybe just completely remove it. This is where I'd want to listen to it from the beginning. Let's bring this down, this over. That's pretty cool, but we lose because of the buffer, that spot. So let's have it go slower. And this one as well, make unique, have it come up. That way it fits the phrase a bit more. And you can kind of see where you can take a loop you already have existing, or it could be any part. It could be a vocal part, it could be a guitar part, it could be a synth part, literally anything, and sort of just add these extra little expressions in to give it some additional interest. And it's pretty easy to do. So hopefully you see the workflow. You see how I kind of like to do it. I like to start a little bit more extreme and then sort of tame it with the mix control after. But having the control up while I'm working allows me to sort of find these moments. And there's a lot of things I didn't go through and do just for the sake of time. For example, we could come through here, chop up one of these parts and sort of scoot it around to find different bits that might loop a little bit better or be more interesting parts to grab. Because just a little bit of a shift will change dramatically where this is grabbing from, since our loop is so short. We could change the loop. We could change distortion elements by adjusting the reference as we go. There's a lot of additional options that the Lexicon PSP 42 gives us in particular because of the modeling that exists in it. If you have any questions about this, feel free to let me know. Subscribe and hit that bell icon for future videos, and have a blessed day.